With big names like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier putting up videos featuring everyone's favorite loudspeakered monster, it's natural that he'd come back into the public eye big time. Siren Head, the biggest and tallest viral monster of the past few months. I bet you didn't know he hailed from Canada. That's right, the artist behind the creature, Trevor Henderson, is based in Toronto, so show him some love. Now, when a monster gets popular, it also seems that sightings tend to go up. More and more folks put out photos and videos featuring the creature, and sometimes it's hard to tell reality from the hoaxes. But that's part of the fun, right? So today we're gonna take a look at some especially freaky encounters, and you can tell me what you think about them. Hello, horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're gonna be counting down the top 5 scary Siren Head sightings. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more hand-drawn hellishness. Perfect, let's begin. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Tik Tok sighting. If you've been online over the past week, you've likely seen some iteration of this video. Sure, it's been memed to hell at this point, with all sorts of viral songs being edited over it to make it look like the lanky lad has hit some funky dance moves, but the original is creepy as all get out. Let's take a look at the video posted by TikTok user AlexHoward_. Yeah. Wow. Up until this point, I'd always assumed that Siren Head was a few dozen feet tall, not a few hundred. But that change in scale really boosts the terror, doesn't it? When Siren Head is telephone pole height, it's a horror villain that might take out a few loose teens in the forest. When it's Godzilla size, we have an entire disaster movie on our hands. Absolutely bonkers. The way he shifts back and forth with the eerie sound of Chicago tornado sirens pitched down washing over the city makes you feel like the world is really ending. And if you take a look at the comments on the video, some people seem to think it really is. As the Siren Head lore becomes more and more muddled with popularity, there are a whole lot of folks who see a relatively realistic looking video like this and assume that someone actually captured a video featuring a horrific monster. So somebody go and let them know that it's all gonna be okay. Coming in at number 4, we've got the graveyard incident. I believe this is the earliest known sighting of the lad we all know today as Siren Head. Back during the glory days of Tumblr, Trevor Henderson shared an image of the spindly creature towering over a graveyard atop a hill. It's a clear sunny day, which doesn't usually make for great horror backdrop. There's a certain grain to the image too, adding to the creepy appeal. The photo's accompanied by some text outlining the origins of the legend. A couple was vacationing and decided to take in some local graveyards. Classic morbid couple activities, right? Well, when they arrived at this particular cemetery, the most notable feature was the large art piece sprouting from the middle. At first, the woman wasn't concerned. Seeing something like that standing in the middle of a field must be an installation of some sort. No sane person would assume it was a creature, but oh boy, that changed quickly. Stepping out of her car, she heard the megaphones on its head turn on immediately and starts screeching. 9, 18, 1, child, 17, remove, vile. The short, jarring snippets of radio noise that we've all come to expect at this point. But imagine being the first person to experience this. Jaw-dropping, pants-soiling, scary stuff. Then Siren Head came to life, walking its terrifying, long-legged walk towards their car. The post ends there, leaving what happens next very much so up to your imagination, which in all honesty is a much scarier place to leave readers when coming up with some extra details. So what do you think happened to the woman and her boyfriend? Coming in at number 3, we've got the Pine Ridge hiking trail. So I thought this was a strictly fictional location at first, but a cursory Google search shows that the Pine Ridge hiking trail is indeed a real place. It's part of the Ganaraska hiking trail. All the more Canadian locations to flesh out that Canadian lore. Hell yeah. Unfortunately, the Siren Head sighting that happened here was purely digital, although who knows? Maybe it was based on a real encounter. One of the first major interactive experiences featuring Siren Head was a game by Modus Interactive. This PS1 style adventure drops you in the middle of a deep dark wood. The old school textures and sounds really do quite a lot to enhance the eerie atmosphere. As you stroll through the sunset-soaked wilderness, a horrific siren begins to sound. You discover bits and pieces left behind by other unlucky hikers, such as backpacks, pieces of shirts, and more. Large scratch marks point to something sinister lurking in the darkness. The further you walk down the trail, the further the sun sinks below the tree line, and then a terrible discovery is made, and he's there. Siren Head. The lumbering, lanky lad in all his low poly glory, silhouetted against a scorched sky. And from there, all you can do is run, and run, and run. If you flee, Siren Head emits all sorts of disquieting noises from static to sirens to radio babble. Make it to your truck and you're home free, for now. Stick around and see what happens, and well, you won't be sticking around long. Siren Head doesn't like to miss out on meals. Coming in at number 2, we've got Beachfront Chaos. This reminds me of something from a kaiju movie. It's stark and scary and realistic in ways that I don't know if I can fully comprehend. It implies a universe in which monster settings like this are possible, which I love. I want a whole book based on this image, or a movie, or an animated series. Whatever it is, I think this is fantastic. Great work, Anti-Dark Heart. Check her out on Twitter. This is another extremely giant take on Siren Head, and the way it's set up makes it work so very well. Imagine being one of the 2 people cowering on the beach. The absolute mind-numbing dread that accompanies the sight of a creature like that. The fact that it seems to be rising out of the fog, dwarfing everything in the comprehensible vicinity. The panicked birds who just moments before were resting on what they assumed was a gigantic tree or telephone pole of some sort. And there's nowhere to run. Whether you pick the ocean or the sand, you're out of luck. The perspective also implies some sort of photographer who would then share this image with the world. Do people across the globe panic at the first sight of a new terror? Or is this a well-established creature and everyone but these 2 beachgoers is evacuated? So much is left unexplained, but the mood of the picture says so much. Would you run towards a Siren Head in this situation, arms wide open, accepting of your fate? Or would you attempt to escape and live to tell the tale? Coming in at number 1, we got the Eastern Europe encounter. For our final sighting, I figured I'd treat you all to a 2-parter. YouTuber Jojo Pastierson has edited 2 clips of her encounters with Siren Head in Eastern Europe. Wandering around desolate and downtrodden areas, she captures some terrifying sounds coming from the distance. As she parades around, it seems that Siren Head is getting closer and closer. But it never gets close enough to be of any danger, which is why we're still able to count Jojo as one of the living. There are 2 videos done in this style, each creepy in their own way. One is set during the day, and the other as the sun is falling below the horizon. Either situation would be terrifying, but personally I think daytime Siren Head is scarier. To see the wrinkles and wires and rusted skin in full detail would be too much for my fragile little brain. Would you be able to keep the camera on and search for Siren Head, or would you hightail it out of there as soon as possible? Now, most of the sightings, and these 2 included, feature prominent siren noises and static along with some short bursts of words, but Siren Head's been known to use his sounds to affect people directly, whether through a familiar sound or the voice of a loved one. Thankfully, nobody's caught this on video yet, because I don't think we're ready for that discovery. Suffice it to say, I would never want to encounter Siren Head out in the wild. I'm perfectly happy looking at images from the safety of my computer and waiting for Trevor to drop more lore bombs in the coming days. And as Siren Head gets more and more popular over the next little while, I'm sure we'll see plenty more of his megaphone dome. Maybe it'll reach Slenderman level hype, with everyone and their grandma looking for an angle. It'll be interesting to watch unfold. If you've got a favorite photo or video of Siren Head you'd like to share, make sure you let me know down in the comments. Coming in at number 5, we've got Whispering Hills. Hard to imagine a video game scarier than Silent Hill. The atmosphere, the monsters, the fog, it all comes together into a wholly unsettling experience. I know we're all disappointed that PT got shut down, and that the more recent Silent Hills haven't quite captured the essence of the originals. However, if you're the kind of person who likes to mod their games, there might be a creepy surprise in store. There's a mod for Fallout 4 called Whispering Hills that tries its best to emulate the vibe of Silent Hill. Everything is enveloped in a layer of impenetrable fog, and ambient sounds are replaced with those from Silent Hill. At first, this mod added a whole new slew of creatures and killers from Silent Hill, from ghouls to monster nurses to the big lad himself, Pyramid Head. Now, you might be saying, Keegan, I thought this video was focusing on Siren Head, not Pyramid Head, and you're right. I just wanted to set the stage for the lanky monster himself. In Whispering Hills, there have also been sightings of Siren Head, wailing wanderer lurking through the wastes. He's at his creepiest off in the distance when the sirens are barely visible through the thick fog. You'll definitely hear Siren Head before you see him too. Emitting all sorts of wails and echoey sound bites, Siren Head adds to the super creepy ambience. And once you're aware of his presence, everything gets real unnerving. In the end though, Siren Head might be better as an environmental feature, something off in the distance. It's dangerous for sure, but once you get up close and personal, it seems less scary. The model is excellent, but it moves in a sort of funny way. Attacking and walking looks sort of awkward as Siren Head swings his lanky arms and legs. Still, if you like Fallout or Silent Hill or Siren Head, it's worth experiencing. Coming in at number 4, we've got cave paintings. This is, well, not really what anybody expected. Usually when a new monster makes an appearance, it's some relatively new creation, especially when it's 40 feet tall and has what appears to be sirens where its head should be. You take one look at Siren Head and would probably think that it somehow adapted those sound blasters from human technology. But if we take a look at these ancient cave paintings, it becomes apparent that this is not the case. According to Trevor, there have been depictions of Siren Head engaging in combat with ancient humans found all over North America. This indicates that Siren Head is not necessarily the new species we might have thought it was. It also implies that it's either quasi-immortal and has survived for generations, or that there's more than one Siren Head. Both are terrifying prospects. Now, what we also have to consider when breaking down these cave paintings is the fact that we've only recently come to know of Siren Head's existence. So how did it stay off the general public's radar for all these years if people have been fighting it since the time of cave drawings? Maybe there's something else going on, something sinister behind the scenes. Worst of all, these cave paintings seem to illustrate that we've never really had a good way to deal with Siren Head. We as humans are more or less powerless against this mighty, freaky being. So I propose this. We should start a new religious movement worshipping Siren Head. The Church of the Loud One? Maybe we'll have some mercy rained down upon us. Coming in at number 3, we've got Minecraft Siren Head. There are only 2 things that are certain in life: death and taxes. But this phrase might need an update because I've noticed a third more recently. If something is popular, it will get put into a million Minecraft YouTube videos. Right now, Siren Head is that meme and therefore must exist in every possible capacity, Minecraft mods included. There are a few different versions out there right now, but the one I was able to find out a little more about adds Siren Head among other horror-themed creatures. It adds a feature that spawns Siren Head from corruption blocks, creating a whole new monster for players to do battle with. It's really big and doesn't seem to move around much. It would be cool if it was lumbering around like the Siren Head in Whispering Hills, but maybe that'll come soon. One thing it will do is swing its arms wildly if you attack it, and these flailing limbs are quite dangerous. One hit and you're dead, just like real life. This mod is essentially adding a boss mob, augmenting the nightmares of Minecraft players for the next little while. There are even folks who claim to have run into Siren Head in unmodded versions of the game. They've posted stories on creepypasta wikis about encounters with huge, noisy creatures that cause not only Minecraft to glitch and freeze up, but other programs and apps too. There's no corroborating evidence in these cases, but if they say they saw Siren Head, who am I to deny them? Coming in at number 2, we've got a multi-headed variant. Recently, Trevor's unveiled a couple more variants on the classic Siren Head. None are as terrifying as this one though. It appears as though there are many versions of this creature, each with adaptations that make it deadlier. On March 23rd, he tweeted a photo of what appears to be a gigantic humanoid with long arms and bad posture, towering over some houses in a residential development. Attached is a short text snippet, seemingly from a news publication, detailing a terrible tragedy. It starts partway through a sentence. Many missing, but rumors of a significant amount of the population found dead in their homes or the streets nearby, with the corpses having burst eardrums and soft tissues. Now, prior to this image, Siren Head was known to take down singular people, maybe small groups, but entire neighborhoods? That's intense. This supports the idea that Siren Head does not kill out of necessity too, if he's leaving all those corpses behind. And if one can walk through a neighborhood and annihilate all sorts of folks through what we can only assume is concentrated sound, who knows what it can do next? If you take a closer look at the image, you might notice something interesting around the head. It has a cluster of sirens up there, different from how it's being depicted in the past. Unsettling, upsetting, unexpected. If you're interested in more sightings, maybe give Trevor a follow to make sure you're up to date. And finally at number 1, we have 0F3fad-AD4E0F. Golden Lane Studio put this video out a while back. Best known for their Five Nights at Freddy's shorts, they uploaded some animated handheld footage of a person exploring a government-controlled area. Those numbers in the title are likely some sort of coordinates. This kind of footage tends to be bad news for those expecting a pleasant walk in the park. He strolls around, seemingly searching for something in particular. His camera work is shaky and often unfocused, adding to the tension. Their purpose is revealed when they mistake some power lines for Siren Head and a bit of superimposed text. Speak of the devil, right? Because almost immediately afterwards, a car alarm goes off, prompting the camera person to whip around. It's then that we see a real Siren Head emerge from the darkness and stride towards the hapless recordist. After a brief chase, they hole up in an abandoned home, listening to the sirens blare outside. Siren Head can be seen passing by a window just as the camera person thinks that it's safe, and then one of the inner doors creaks open. The camera person heads towards the opening, and something strange is there. But there isn't enough time to find out exactly what, though, as Siren Head crashes through the wall and the video feed cuts out. Well, there seems to be more Siren Head sightings cropping up every day. It's only a matter of time before you see one yourself, right? So go check out all the original sightings in the links in the description and consider following the folks who made them to keep up to date. Do you have a favorite Siren Head sighting? How long until a feature film gets made? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Coming in at number 5, we've got Allegheny National Park. We are going straight to the source here, Siren Head's creator himself. On May 9th, 2020, Trevor Henderson tweeted out an image without a caption. The black rectangle was full of text-based accounts of supposed Siren Head sightings all across Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh and Philly, you've been put on notice. Now, if you're in a city proper, you probably don't have to worry about too much. Probably. But if you head out into one of Pennsylvania's many forested zones, you might find yourself face to face with a gigantic terror. Or face to siren, I suppose. Either way, definitely not a situation anyone wants to find themselves in. However, there was a group of teens camping in Allegheny in 1984 that were a little less than fortunate. 4 young friends had departed on an overnight trip, meant to return home soon after. However, their parents didn't hear from them for days. This caused a small panic, followed by missing reports being filed. Before any search parties could be organized, one of the boys actually returned home. Simon Forrester showed up at his family home alone and disturbed. When questioned, he claimed that there was something huge in the woods that attacked him. He never got a good look at it and didn't mention anything about siren sounds, but some other details made people believe that it might have been Siren Head. Unfortunately, the other boys remained missing. About a year later, though, a sneaker fell down in front of a hiker from a high branch. It's believed that this shoe belonged to David Work, one of the missing campers. Siren Head victims have been found hanging from the tallest branches of trees in the past, which adds credence to this theory. Coming in at number 4, we've got Roblox. If you're gonna mention Minecraft in the last video, we're definitely gonna have to give Roblox a shout out in this one. With so many custom games in existence, it's no wonder that there are a few Siren Head experiences in Roblox. One of the first was made by Captain Spinks and plays a whole lot like the PS1 style game by Modus Interactive. The atmosphere is undeniable, with the blood-streaked skies and wicked silhouetted environments adding a lot of creep to the craft. As you wander the woods, you're accosted by the sound of sirens, and at this point, we all know what that means. Then, Siren Head appears. A little less menacing than most, I'll admit, but the design of Siren Head is so good that even low-end versions can be intensely creepy. Although this one is sort of funny. This is probably a good first Siren Head experience if you're not sure how you'd handle seeing the being yourself. Another more in-depth game is known as Siren Head Rebirth. This one takes a more cinematic approach with lots of crazy lighting and weapons. Put together by Blue Cool Guy 98, Boxy Cola Thief, Auxorius, and Dr. Bibonic, Rebirth is a crazy experience. You're dropped into a dark field with a burning plane nearby. You have to navigate through the dark while avoiding a rapidly rotating Siren Head. Heck, there are even some more Henderson-esque cryptids included, like Cartoon Cat, Bridgeworm, and Longhorse. If you're a fan of both Roblox and Siren Head, you could have your own sightings. Coming in at number 3, we've got Dreams. Speaking of fan-made video game content, has anyone checked out some of the horror experiences in Dreams? To be honest, I didn't think people would ever be able to make the kind of high-quality stuff we're seeing these days in the game. It's absolutely bonkers what folks are able to put together in a PS4 creation software. And while not totally interactive, Bad Robo managed to put together a spellbinding Siren Head sighting in Dreams. I mean, just look at it. It's gorgeous. The devil is absolutely in the details, with every inch of this demo filled with crazy elements. The light diffused through the twister, the multicolored sunset clouds, the wet grass and dirt, the trees swaying in the wind, and of course, Siren Head himself. This has to be one of the best moving Siren Heads I've ever seen. A lot tend to fall into the awkward category. Uncanny Valley is good for spook factor, but Siren Head is far enough from being human to look sort of silly if done wrong. Bad Robo's Siren Head moves slowly at almost a lumbering pace. However, it's so far away that you can tell it's actually covering a lot of ground really fast. All in all, an amazing render and a really cool experience. Coming in at number 2, we've got Gravity Falls. Yes, that Gravity Falls, the paranormal cartoon town in Oregon. Dipper and Mabel have faced down minotaurs, rainbow barfing gnomes, even Bill Cipher himself, so it was only a matter of time before they ran into Siren Head, right? Well, not officially, but Parkin Art has made such an excellent representation of it happening, it's hard to believe it never did happen. Imagine it, walking through your tiny rural town at night, knowing that something's lurking in the trees. Then all of a sudden, a huge lanky beast stomps into view. You'd run for your life too, wouldn't you? I suppose if they brought Siren Head to Gravity Falls, its violence could have to be toned down a little bit. As creepy as the show can get, I doubt anybody would be okay with exploding eardrums and folks disappearing wholesale. And they'd probably end up taking it down in a pretty comedic way. I've seen plenty of Siren Head as a friendly lad who wants a hug memes, which fits in pretty well here. Maybe they'd spend the whole episode running away only to discover that it was trying to return Dipper's hat or something. That would be an interesting take. And finally at number 1, we've got In the Hubbins Yard. We'll end the same way we started, with some lore from Trevor himself. This tale actually comes from the same image as number 5, but each piece seems so formative to Siren Head as a monster it's impossible to ignore. Back in 1978, 9-year-old Catherine Hubbins was investigating some strange noises in the woods across from her family's yard. She'd been hearing these noises for a while and wanted to get to the bottom of it. Courageously heading over to the forested area, Catherine was heading straight into disaster. See, she had told her sister about the sounds before. Apparently, sometimes it sounded like their mother calling to them from beyond the edge of the woods. Naturally, any 9-year-old would hear that and go check it out. However, her sister also had said that the voice was wrong and echoey. This could be a case of non-paranormal kidnapping, but consider how Siren Head operates. It's been known to stay still, camouflage in the woods for hours before snagging a victim. It also tends to use familiar sounds, especially the voices of loved ones, to lure people in. Add that to the wrong, all echoey voice, and you've got a Siren Head sighting from before anyone knew what Siren Head was. Or before it was popular, I suppose. Do you think this happening had something to do with the monster, or was it just a tragic accident? Honestly, the next time I hear a storm siren, I might just drop dead. So many situations involving Siren Head, how are you supposed to avoid it? What'd you think of the list? Had you seen all these sightings before? I'd highly recommend checking out the originals and then maybe continue scrolling on the artist's pages, show them some support. I'll post links to all the games and pieces and videos down in the description. Have you made any Siren Head content? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more wood oven fired ones from the top 5 scary Siren Head urban legends. Victor Valdez says, I can picture an ancient version of Siren Head, but instead of modern sirens, it's topped with a trio of screaming severed human heads. High-pitched screams are hardwired into the human brain for alarm because that's what the screams of children and infants sound like. Perhaps that was what some greater eldritch horror or dark wizard used to make the first Siren Head in ancient days, with the cones forming to amplify the sound by their dark magic. Maybe it uses the bodies that disappear after it attacks. It uses the young to create more copies, and if adults disappear, it uses them for forced breeding of raw materials. That's a wicked idea. I think that would make for a fantastic Siren Head graphic novel, an ancient low-tech origin story. Incredible stuff. Crispy the Ash, Art Things I Guess, says, I love the long lad. Don't we all? Colleen Posley says, what if Siren Head was the thing behind the Dyatlov Pass incident? Ooh, the plot thickens. That's a fascinating theory. Please, develop it further for us. Dark Siege 42 says, the weird thing is I keep hearing a police radio / walkie-talkie outside my house every night, but when I look, there's no police officer. Don't worry, that's not paranormal. It's just the CIA, constantly surveilling your life. Zalachai says, there's an episode of Supernatural where the monster came into existence because people believed it existed. Classic Tinkerbell syndrome. All in due time, Zalachai. All in due time. And Jules Weiss says, I've said it once and I'll say it a million times, anything not by Trevor is non-canon. Keep shouting that from the rooftops because I agree, which is why I do my best to cite where each piece comes from. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I start filming a student project with my buddies Troy, Tim, Alex, and Brian, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more ferocious fascination. Check out the original art and stories in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Whether the loud lad is 40 feet or 4,000, you'd bet he'd sue you. Coming in at number 4, Roblox. Is it Roblox or it's Roblox, isn't it? Actually, I'm sorry editors, I have to look this up. Coming in at number 4, we've got Roblox. 4 young friends had departed on an overnight trip meant to however, their parents didn't hear with both Roblox and Siren Head how bad Robo managed to put a a lot tend to fail